Hey guys, today we're going to be taking a look at the Evergoods Panel Loader Classic or PLC20, which is a simple and compact everyday carry bag. In general, I'm a very big fan of Evergoods' products. I've loved using the CPL24 and the CHC26 for my day-to-day. I've also enjoyed their CTB35 for one bag travel. So just a big fan of their aesthetics, the build quality, the design philosophy overall, which is why I really wanted to like this bag. However, after loading it out and using it for a little bit, I quickly realized that it just wasn't going to be a good fit for my needs. There's some great stuff that has been incorporated into this bag, some really nice features that I'll definitely dive into in this video, but there was enough that I just was very confident that it was a bag that I was going to be returning. So it's going to be a little bit of a lighter review. I'm not taking this outside or testing it out over my normal 2 weeks, just to be able to send the bag back in a good condition, but hopefully just seeing the loadout and talking through some of the pros and cons will be helpful if you're a little bit unsure if you want to check this bag out. Before jumping into the video, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Danny, and on this channel we love reviewing popular travel and everyday carry gear. If you like these types of videos and you'd be interested in seeing more, please consider subscribing as it helps the channel out a lot. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and jump in. Starting off with the outside of the bag, I really like the overall aesthetic. You still have the same kind of classic Evergoods minimalist vibe, but they seem to have taken elements from their CHZ and their CPL lines and blended them together, so this is meant to be a little bit more rounded, not quite as boxy as the CPL, and also a little bit more focused maybe on the urban setting as opposed to being used in the outdoors. They've cleaned up a lot of the functionality as they've talked about in some of the videos that they've released recently, and it's that mixture between CPL and CHZ which also brings about some of the challenges that I had with this bag, so I'll reference that a little bit more as we go throughout the video. But sticking to the aesthetic, I really like the look. It's very clean. It feels like it's going to blend into pretty much any environment, whether you're exploring the city, traveling, taking this into the office. And then moving into the materials, this is one of the biggest changes on this bag. Evergoods has used a 1680D ballistic nylon, which is very common on bags from Air. We've looked at a ton of bags with that material on the channel. I've always been a big fan. It is very rugged. It offers plenty of weather resistance, and then as Evergoods has mentioned in their promotional videos, it is easier to clean and maintain clean. It doesn't pull animal hair quite as much as their previous fabrics, so I really like that. That is a nice additional benefit. The aesthetic does feel a little bit more techy, I guess, due to this material. It's just kind of shinier. It's not quite as subdued as the nylon that we've seen on many of their other bags, but I think it works well. The bag still looks clean overall, and I've always been a fan of this material. And then you also have the nice YKK zippers that Evergoods always has on their bags that also have a DWR coating. Continuing along the outside of the bag, on the front you have the classic Evergoods logo, the little Velcro patch here. You can customize it with some of the patches that Evergoods sells on their site or other patches that may be this size here. I personally just like to leave this blank. I actually really like the Evergoods logo. And then there's no external water bottle pockets, which I was really sad to see, especially if you're pulling elements from the CHZ to mix with the CPL. The best part of the CHZ line, in my opinion, is those external water bottle compartments, which are so nice. It would have messed with the clean aesthetic that Evergoods was going here. Not quite as minimal, but I think that would have been an excellent feature to bring over if you were trying to kind of pull elements from both lines. So I would have liked to have seen those. Beyond that, there's nothing else on the outside. No handles, no pockets, just very clean, which does seem to be what Evergoods was going for with this bag. Just a really simple, everyday bag. And then moving into the sizing, the bag comes in at about 20 liters, which is a really great daily bag size. In my opinion, I was able to hold all the items that I normally like to carry with me. And the one thing that I did notice about this is that for my size, it felt a little bit small on me. I've really come to like the 22 liter CHZ and the 24 liter CPL. Having that extra bit of space is always nice, and it just feels like it looks a little bit better with my particular size and body type. So that's something that you'll want to keep in mind depending on how big or tall you are. Regardless, the bag does maintain a very clean and slim silhouette. It hugs your back nicely, so if you're navigating crowded areas, jumping onto public transit, or going on to pretty much any domestic and international airline, the bag is going to work well. And then taking a look at the straps and the back paneling, so far the bag has been pretty comfortable to wear. I like how the straps have been implemented here. Similar amount of padding and shape to many of their other bags. And on the straps and the back paneling, you have this new material that's meant to be a lot more breathable than the one that they've used in the past. It does feel better on the shoulder straps. The straps also have a pretty good width for the size of the bag to make sure that it doesn't dig into your shoulders when it's a little bit more packed out. And then you also have an adjustable and removable sternum strap to help distribute the weight. Moving into the back peeling, this is one of the biggest changes to the bag compared to their other daily bags, and that's the inclusion of this new material on the back panel that's meant to be a lot more breathable. We saw this in the CTB35, and I was really impressed with how it worked. To me, it still doesn't feel quite as breathable as air mesh. I know that there's some pros and cons to air mesh as far as peeling, and it's not maybe as durable. So I think this is a nice trade-off. It does feel a lot more breathable than prior Evergoods bags. I also like that there's some additional air channels to provide you with more ventilation and airflow while you're walking around throughout the day. And it's something that I hope to see make its way into their CHZ and CPL lines in the future. Jumping into the organizational options, the bag keeps things pretty simple overall. There's an interesting mixture of pockets, some new, some seem to be even taking inspiration from something like the company's Cap 1, which has some mesh zippered internal organization that's pretty interesting. We'll take a closer look at that in the main area. On the exterior, you just have a simple quick access pocket at the top, similar to the ones that we've seen in their other bags, but a little bit tighter. You know, I have my sunglasses with their case here, and there's maybe a little bit of leftover room here to toss in some AirPods or maybe my keys. On the inside, it does have a key leash, which, you know, so you can attach your keys or a multi-tool. I really like that they've kept that, but there's not a whole lot of extra space once you place something bulkier like this. So you can get a sense of the volume here, and this does poke into the main area, as we'll see in a little bit. So if you fill this up completely, that's something that you'll want to keep in mind. And then on the front of the bag, you have a larger zippered compartment. This is a really interesting idea. I was pretty torn on it when I first saw the bag announced, but I think that it makes a lot of sense. So it's just one large deep compartment. It goes almost the full length of the front of the bag, so it gives you a lot of flexibility, particularly if you like to pack with pouches. This is definitely meant to be used with something like Evergoods' Cap 1 pouch. I currently have my Air Slim pouch in here. Fits very comfortably. There's no internal organization in this compartment, but again, it's just going to be good for other pouch and modular organization. I have my Tombin Ghost Wheel pouch. I have a tripod that I like to carry with me. And then beyond that, nothing else. This is meant to be an area where you can also toss in maybe a jacket, some gloves, even some gym clothes if you want to keep it separate from the other compartment in the bag. So I really like the flexibility that this open compartment provides, and I believe that it's probably going to be hate it or love it depending on how you like to organize and pack out your bag. Before taking a look at the main area, I did want to call out that one thing that I like a lot about this bag over the company's other bags is how well this manages to stand up on its own. It's got a pretty wide, flat bottom, so whether it's full or empty, I was really impressed with how stable the bag manages to be. That's something that I always like to see on my daily bag, so that I could easily rest this down next to me if I'm at a coffee shop or something, so it performs very well. And then the main compartment has a almost full clamshell style opening. You can see the zipper doesn't quite go all the way down. It stops at that base that helps it stand up on its own, but you still have full visibility into the compartment, so you can easily organize and grab whatever you need to when you rest the bag down. And so at 20 liters, it's a more compact bag, but because of the simple layout, it can actually hold quite a bit. Again, particularly if you like modular organization, this gives you a lot of flexibility with how you can kind of lay out your stuff. One thing I want to call out while the bag is still full is that it can take kind of an interesting shape. So down at the bottom, you have this gap here, which goes all the way down, and it can be very easy to not fill this gap up. I actually stuffed this GoRuck shadow pocket here at the bottom, because when you don't fill it up completely, it can kind of start to take on some strange shapes. The bag will start to have this little lip down at the bottom and kind of poke out. If you pack this out completely, it'll just have some really awkward shapes that don't make it look as nice as it probably should. So it's something to keep in mind as you're packing the bag out. You'll really want to make sure that you can kind of fully stick whatever you need to down at the bottom so that it can maintain its shape. But with that being said, diving into the items that I currently have here at the top, I have my DJI Mavic Mini with its hard shell case. Again, I have the shadow pocket with just some bulkier EDC items. I have my Beat Studio wireless headphones, and then I also have my Civic Access pouch, which is one of my favorite organizers. Now with the compartment empty, you can get a better look at the inside. With this layout, I could definitely toss in my larger double-sided packing cube and maybe a dop kit, and I could get away with using this for a really minimal trip. And at the top here, you can get a better sense of the volume that that quick access pocket would take up, which does have an impact on this new laptop sleeve. I'll get to that in a second. Before jumping into the laptop sleeve, they have added some extra organization here on the panel. You have a little elastic slip pocket that's meant to work well for a tablet. You can fit an iPad in there. I currently have my iPad mini in a case. It fits in there pretty comfortably, but it was a little tighter than I was expecting. So a large tablet, it might start to stretch that pocket out. Just something that you'll want to keep in mind. And then you have pen slots on either side. So if you have a stylus, or in my case, I have a pen. Whoops, almost dropped it down there at the bottom. You have a pen slot here. My apologies, it doesn't look like this is actually meant to be a solo pen slot. That's more part of the laptop sleeve. So you have a pen slot here on the left, and that's going to work well for something like this Ridge bolt action pen that I've really been loving recently. I could also place a stylus in there. And then on the back, you have a padded laptop sleeve, which is a new design. The implementation here is pretty good as far as the sleeve. It's well padded. It's also pulled up off the bottom of the ground, so if you place your bag down a little bit harder, you won't have to worry about your laptop making contact with the ground. So always nice to have that extra peace of mind. And this is meant to hold up to a 15-inch laptop, I believe. Currently, I have my 13-inch MacBook Pro. It fits in there pretty comfortably, and it's nice that the sleeve kind of opens up a little bit here at the top, supposedly to make it easier to grab your laptop. But I noticed that when the bag is still pretty packed out, it's hard to get your laptop out super comfortably. As I was testing the bag and I had this compartment full and some other items in this main area, it still felt a little bit difficult to get my laptop in and out. And I have a smaller laptop, so if you have a 15-inch laptop, I believe that it's going to be a little bit annoying if you have the bag packed out. So something to keep in mind. Now with the compartment empty, you can get a better look at the inside, so no sort of fleece lining or anything like that. It does come up a decent amount due to the flexible material that's included here on the side. So if you have a thicker device or you want to use a case, you should still be able to squeeze it in fairly well. But it's still going to be a little bit tricky to get it in and out, in my opinion, even with this flexible lip at the top. And this is again an example of one of the things that I wasn't crazy about. I've never been a fan of the fact that the laptop compartment is in the main area on the CHZ line of bags. I feel like that was a design choice that kind of came from that side of the house, as opposed to the CPL, which has a separate laptop compartment. That's one of my favorite things about that bag. It just makes it really easy to get your laptop in and out. In this case, I know that it's meant to be a more minimal bag, keep things a little bit simpler, but I would have preferred to have the laptop accessible in a separate area than this main compartment. And then on the flap, you have some additional organizational options. At the top, you have what they call their zippered security pocket. Since it doesn't have mesh, you can't see what's on the inside. This offers a decent amount of space, even though it doesn't have the independent volume that we've seen on their CHZ and CPL bags. This is more similar to the CTB35, so it does have a decent amount of space, but it doesn't pop out towards the front like those other bags, so it's not going to be quite as good for bulkier items, but it still had enough space for the items that I carry, such as a deck of cards, and then I have this little aluminum tin with Band-Aids and ointment. And then below that, you have a mesh zippered compartment that has a divider sewn in, so you have two different sizes. Which is nice to have a variety of pockets if you don't want to just have one large compartment. On the left side here, in the smaller compartment, this is a great spot for smaller EDC items. I have this little Leatherman multi-tool, but this would also be a good spot maybe for my AirPods or a wired pair of headphones. And then on the right, I have just a battery bank that I like to carry with me, but again, with this size, you can definitely place a portable hard drive in here, maybe a mouse, additional tech items. So I do like the more minimal organization that's provided on this side. And in general, the layout in this main area, it still offers a decent amount of space. The laptop feels like it's going to be well protected, if not easily accessible. And in general, this is a very solid, minimal, everyday bag. If you're looking for something well built that's going to be a little bit smaller and you like Evergoods' design aesthetic, and if their other bags aren't really for you, then this is still going to provide a pretty solid alternative. And so to wrap up, during my brief time with the PLC20, it definitely hasn't been a bad experience. There's some interesting ideas here, but overall, it's not a bag that's going to be right for me. And you can currently purchase this on Evergoods' site for about $180, which is fairly reasonable considering the build quality and the features that this has to offer. However, there's going to be a lot of other great bags in this price range that may be worth considering. And so as I was testing this out, this definitely made me think of Evergoods' other great daily bags, the CPL24 and the CHZ22 and 26. I've loved using those bags, and I would honestly still recommend most people check those bags out first. If you're looking for something that's gonna have water bottle pockets and a more simple layout for your everyday essentials, the CHZ line is gonna be fantastic. It can hold a ton of stuff. It's similarly well built. Comfortable. If you want something that's going to have, the panel loader functionality, open up full clamshell and have a lot more organizational options, their CPL line is going to be a fantastic option to check out as well. So depending on your needs and your budget, one of those may be a better option. And if you're curious to check out Evergoods' bags, I definitely recommend you start there. The next bag this made me think of is the Osprey Arcane Day Pack, which actually had a very similar aesthetic and layout to this in my experience. It had a quick access front pocket that didn't go all the way down, so it wasn't quite as versatile as this one, but it did work as a good quick access pocket with plenty of volume. It also had a spacious main compartment with a suspended and padded laptop sleeve, some internal organization. The bag is very comfortable as well. The harness system is nice, maybe not quite as nice as this one, but good enough in my opinion. And it also had an external water bottle pocket, which is something that this one was missing. It also comes in at a slightly lower price range, so if you're looking for a bag that has a similar layout and aesthetic to this, but you want to save a little bit of money, that's going to be a great option to consider. Another bag this made me think of is the Air City Pack, which is a really sleek and modern tech and EDC bag. It's a little bit more compact than this, coming in at 14 liters. It feels like it can almost hold as much. It does have a much more complex organizational layout. There's a lot of pockets and zippers, so it's going to add a little bit of bulk to the bag, but it provides you some extra flexibility depending on how you like to organize. The harness system on that is also really comfortable, and the whole footprint of the bag just reminded me a lot of this one. It has a well-padded laptop sleeve. It has an external water bottle pocket. Air is one of the companies that uses 1680D ballistic a lot, so the bags, look pretty similar to each other in my opinion. So if you want something that has this sort of a vibe, but that's just gonna give you some extra organization and come in at a slightly lower price point, then that's gonna be another great option to consider. And then the last option that I'll mention here is the Bellroy Transit Work Pack, which has been one of my favorite, more work-focused bags that I've looked at over the past year. It's an awesome EDC backpack with a clamshell style opening, much like this one. It has light organization all throughout the bag, so quick access pockets. It has a pocket at the top for your sunglasses and delicate items. It has a separate laptop compartment that's well padded and suspended. I really like that the laptop compartment is actually separate as opposed to this bag where it's in the same compartment. It has some nice side organization. It's comfortable to wear, comes in at the same size, about 20 liters, but it just feels a little bit more spacious and like it's gonna be able to hold some extra stuff. So if you like this type of a bag, you're looking for something minimal and simple that's maybe gonna look a little bit better with a more professional outfit and in an office setting, and that's gonna be one of the best options that you can take a look at as well. With that being said, the PLC20 isn't a bad bag by any means. It's well built, it has some interesting features. For my particular needs and packing style and also my size, it's just not a good fit, and if you're like me, then I would recommend checking out some of the other bags that I just mentioned. And I'm definitely curious to hear what you all think of the PLC20 and how it compares to some of the popular daily bags that I featured on the channel in the past. Let me know if you agree or disagree with some of the complaints that I had, and if there are any similar options that you think I should check out. As always, please let me know in the comments. And I want to thank you for watching and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like, and if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming videos, and we'll see you in the next one.